Hey everyone, welcome back. Mia Paulus here. So today we're going to talk about how to create a business growth plan that actually works. So have you ever heard that you need a business plan? I say that it's true, but let's be honest. You need a plan that actually works. So not one of the business plans that you probably are thinking right now. A plan that's based on sound principles and a good understanding of what it truly takes to grow a business. So in today's video, I'm going to share my thinking about what it takes to create a truly great and easily implementable business plan. All right, let's go. Okay, first it's important to understand my viewpoints of a traditional business plan. To be frankly honest with you, I hate them. I think entrepreneurs have spent way too much time creating them. They didn't really give entrepreneurs a lot of direction. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of projections without a lot of data to be able to make those projections on. So it's kind of like an indirect way of puffing up the entrepreneur's chest to be like, I'm official and I'm going to make these really great projection numbers without any executable goals that are going to help me get me there. I'm from the accounting background, the accounting world, and so I was kind of taught that business plans were the thing. It's what you do to build a successful company. And while I'm really grateful for my accounting degree, I also feel like it's probably set me back a few years because it made me kind of go in wrong directions that maybe weren't the right thing. Now I've been in business 15 years, so if you're those newer entrepreneurs out there, you're kind of a new age where maybe you're not as subjected to the business plan. But a lot of the even banks, traditional banks rarely lend to high risk companies anymore, and maybe they want a business plan. Like a lot of times, they're not really lending on business plans anymore. Like even if you get outside investors, they usually want like an executive summary and a pitch deck or things like that. Like they rarely, I haven't seen it very often where they want a business plan. And I think if they do, it shows that they might not be the most forward thinking of investors from that perspective. Okay, there's my business plan rant. So what kind of business plan do we need then? And this has been something that I've been actually stewing over for a long time. What I've been trying to do over the last 15 years is solve the problems that we have as entrepreneurs, right? So I first started with taking over a lot of tasks for entrepreneurs, right? And we just would bring entrepreneurs in, do the projects and programs for them. But then there were some entrepreneurs that would get stuck, some that couldn't get to the next level, people that wouldn't see the value in what we gave. And so I started to think, well, how do I show them how to use the tools, or how do I show them how to get unstuck, or how do I show them what things they need to do. And so I started to pull all these patterns together, and I started to put them in phases of business and what's required in that phase. And I came up with something that I call the impact equation, which is kind of like a framework. I like to think it's like a business plan framework in a way, because it's going to show you what business plan you need in each phase, right? We're kind of told from experts and even from the early stages that one document will get you all the way through business, but it's really not true. There's different things you need to know at different levels, and there's things you don't need to focus on at every stage. So what I've been doing is almost creating something I call strategic mission plans, which are plans that are agile in nature, that can shift and pivot and adapt, but they're tailored to each phase. So we're actually working right now on creating these strategic mission plans that are geared for if you're in the startup phase, if you're in the growth phase, or if you're in what I call the evergreen phase. And over the last few months, I've been actually working with a lot of entrepreneurs, kind of testing these frameworks and different things that we've been building. One of the packages from a consulting side we've been doing is something around the brand identity or the brand strategy or positioning of the company. And so we work with the company. Some of them are newer, but some are just literally established businesses that have done a big shift and pivot, and they needed to reevaluate kind of the foundational elements of their business, like who is their ideal customer, what is the market that they're in, what are the purpose, values, vision of their company, what is the problem they're trying to solve, what's the solution they're trying to get, what's the offer around those problems and solutions that you're going to give to the customer. And so to me, like that is like the most valuable thing is understanding, being able to answer those questions empathetically, like really understanding deeply what your customers need. That will get you farther than any business plan ever will, because a lot of times what we do is we create the solution, but we don't go and back into, is this really a problem we're solving? Do people really have this problem? A lot of times we want to start with the idea, or we build the product first, and then back into experimenting with it. And that is a much longer way to go. And so when I think about the early stage business plan, it's not so much about projections. It's about getting your first 10 customers and getting data around that so you can project. Because otherwise you're just projecting off fluff numbers of what you dream it will be. And we usually dream bigger than what reality is. And so go and experiment, get data, get understanding. That is like the first business plan you want to have. And then we actually are, when people get into the growth phase of business, there's a lot that has to happen there. Journey mapping, org charts, team building, customer retention, referral programs. I can keep going on. We started to actually list all the things that are required in this phase with me and the person that's building this with me. And we're like, no wonder why everybody gets stuck in this phase. Like there were just so many pieces that have to play out. And so what we're now doing is creating bite-sized elements of each of those phases and what's required. Because again, a business plan to me depends on where you're at and what's important then. And so it really is more of a roadmap than a one-size-fits-all. It applies to all businesses, and it's going to be something that lasts forever. I wrote a book a few years ago, well, probably a couple years ago, and it was called Purposeful Focus in Business. And it was around understanding what your purpose, values, and vision were for your company. And the reason why I didn't include like a mission statement in that book was because your purpose, values, vision are kind of don't change a lot, right? It's kind of like why you do what you do, what you stand for, and where you plan to go, like your just cause how you plan to change the world, right? But what you do, which is really what a mission statement is kind of more the status quo, like what you do, needs to be willing to shift and adapt. And so that's why I developed that strategic mission plan I talked about, because your mission needs to be agile and adaptable and changeable. And so you could see that I'm challenging a lot of the traditional status quos that are out there, the traditional norms, and really reinventing the business plan. So before we dig into the details of what this new age business plan is, I would love it if you like and subscribe to this channel. When you do, it helps the algorithm and helps other entrepreneurs that may be needing this message know about it. I really want us to collectively work together to learn from each other. So in the comments, I would love for you to engage and let me know your insights, because the more I get your thoughts, the more I can learn. Like, I'm a pattern person. I love to look for patterns that we're all, what are all the things we're experiencing, because that is going to help me continue to try to solve these problems we all have as entrepreneurs. That is my mission to you. My dedication to you is not having to reinvent the wheel of all the issues that we have. I speak with tons of entrepreneurs all the time, and I can tell you that I hear the same thing over and over again. And the same thing no matter the size or the industry. A lot of times people will come to me like, well, what industry do you serve? I was like, it doesn't matter. We all have the same problem. Or like, what size? Like, it's just about knowing a framework of what's required at different phases. And so I've been hyper-focused over the last few months of building out what I call the impact equation, which is really this new age business plan of, I just realized, I've read hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of business books. And I'm like, nowhere, I always talked about 3 phases of growth, but I never really put it all together until I got bombarded by several people over the last few months of just talking to me about it. And I was able to kind of put the pieces together. And then I started to go deep into my journey and deep into the entrepreneurs that I'm working with. And I just started to put them in the right order of operations. I'm literally working with a client right now who has all of the pieces. I mean, all of it. He's got beautiful courses made, beautiful videos made. Like, content is sometimes the hardest thing we got to pull from entrepreneurs, right? He has all of the content. He's got the attractive character. Like, he has the persona that matches it. He's got the good branding, even a decent website, like so many pieces, but he hasn't even gotten his first 10 customers. And I told him, I said, I'm emotionally invested now. Like, we can pop you past the startup phase so fast, because when you start to apply the business plan that we put together, it makes it so easy. You have all the pieces. You don't have to stay in each phase very long, because you're not going to have to go and do a lot of the things that are required in the future phases. Unfortunately, he got ahead of himself and did too many things too early, and so that's why now he's struggling, and we're having to, make sure his cash flow is in line with what we're doing. And so things like that are just really important to understand is that, all these experts are telling you things to do in business, but they're not really telling you that there's an order of operations, and maybe you don't need to focus on that thing just yet. And so really, if you want to learn more about this impact equation, I actually created a free assessment that will help define what phase of business you're in, and then can determine like the next steps. And I can walk you through this journey of not getting to where you're hyper-focused on managing your time, but getting smarter with your time. And so after this assessment, I'm putting on a free 5-day course where you actually learn about how to value your time, how to master your time, get a return on time, leverage time and increase time. Like, I think we need to be smarter with our time, and so we can really earn more in less time. So first step though is figure out what phase of business you're in. And to do that, you go to theimpactequation.com.